I am willing to bet that at least one person watching this video right now is paying for a subscription service. It could be Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, even a large language model service. I am also willing to bet that at the end of this video, I'll be saving you an insane amount of money by canceling all of these. As research shows, the average person spent about $200 a month on subscription services. That's over $2,000 a year. Now you might be wondering, how? Well, I'm sure you might have guessed by the title of this video. The answer is a home server. A home server is basically your own storage system that acts as a cloud that you own. Think of it as a Google Drive or an iCloud that sits in your very own home, running 24/7. Now I hear you saying, home server? All that terminal text scares me. I'd rather not. But don't worry, I got you. You're just going to have to hear me talk about my experience at least. Now you could really use any computer as your own home server. Some people I see online have pretty beefy computers running for their home servers, but it could really be any old laptop or PC you have lying around. PewDiePie, one of the most popular YouTubers out there, actually started off running his home server with a Raspberry Pi and a Steam Deck, which goes to show you don't need any money to get started, and you could just use whatever you have lying around. Currently, I'm using my old Omen HP laptop. Now it doesn't have the best specs, but it beats having to slide by the RAM crisis that we have going on right now. I also have it running on Ubuntu, which is a Linux distro, and if you want to learn more about Linux, you can check it out in my other video. Now for my server, I have it set it up with Docker Containers, which is an open source platform that lets you set up different kind of containers to run any kind of software that you want. I connect that software that I'm running on that Docker container to use different local hosts, which basically means it's only available to my network and only I can use it. Now there are 5 big things that I did with my server that you could easily be doing with yours. Starting off with number 1, Jellyfin. Let's just say you want to watch the Kung Fu Panda movies. Well, you can't watch that on Netflix unless you're Mexican or Colombian. You'll need Amazon Prime for Kung Fu Panda 1, then Hulu for Kung Fu Panda 2, then either Fandango or Apple TV for Kung Fu Panda 3. There's also no guarantee it'll stay on there, as sometimes they trick you, saying it's on their streaming service when it's actually not. What about Pokemon? Well, there's a whole official Pokemon website for that, actually. You have to go to Netflix for the first few seasons, then Amazon Prime, then Hulu, then Tubi, then Hoopla. Yes, it's called Hoopla. This is a beautiful system of high quality products and well thought out intricacy that we will never use. With a home server, you can easily store any movies or TV shows you want at the very comfort of your own home for free. Now, I definitely don't recommend that you try sailing the 7 seas of the internet, because if you do, you'll find that it's very easy to download any movies or TV shows and there's even guides online. It's also pretty easy to find any DVDs you want in your local thrift store and burn the CDs into a media format that you can easily set up. One of the most fun things you can do with your friends is to play video games. But if your friends happen to live across the other side of the world, then you're going to need to find a way to play online. This is where you can dedicate your own gaming server. The biggest benefit of this comes with customization. You have a lot of freedom to mod your server however you like. For example, I run a container called Crafty Controller that I'm able to set up my own Minecraft server. With this, I'm able to download any custom worlds like doing the Skyblock Challenge, or any mod packs for fun, like this Rainbow Six Siege mod pack. Setting it up and sharing the server address takes a little bit more technical know-how, but pretty much for everything dealing with servers, most of the stuff is pretty well documented. Number 3 is Immich. Immich is a photo and video management. It's pretty easy to set up, and it has a ton of features, such as local AI facial recognition, maps for seeing where your photos were taken, and semantic search. The only downside would be that if you wanted to upload right after you take your photos, you would need to manually open your phone and then the app, and then manually upload all the photos onto your server. But to anyone who doesn't want to pay money to something like iCloud just to have their photos stored in a server, it's a great solution. Next is Nextcloud, and it's pretty much your own Google Drive on your server. It lets me share any of my files on any of my devices. For anyone concerned with their privacy from Google, this is really useful. Although you're watching this on YouTube, which is also owned by Google. There's no escape. There's no escape. We have to hope there's alternatives. There has to be alternatives. I find that the biggest benefit from this is that you don't have to pay on a monthly basis for storage that you don't even technically own, that you just rent out. So overall, it's not bad. It's a really good solution. I like using it. It's pretty snappy. Honestly, for me, this one was the easiest to set up. I just had to upload the YAML file and that was it. Which the YAML file is basically the Docker containers file for installing any of the software that you need. Now, at number 5 are large language models. Now, if you don't know, you can actually download large language models onto your computer. First, you use Olama to download any large language models you want. But if you find all this terminal text scary, then don't worry. There's a pretty easy solution for this, which are front-end interfaces. It's basically the structure that makes things look pretty on a website. For me, I'm using OpenWebUI. It was really easy to install, again, on the YAML file with the Docker. I find it pretty fun to experiment with the different models, but the first obvious problem is that to run any big model that doesn't have the IQ of a squirrel, you need a lot of power. In a nutshell, the way that large language models work is that they break text into smaller pieces called tokens. They use patterns learned from training data to predict the next best token. During training, the model changes billions of values called parameters. These parameters help the model make better responses. So sometimes these models are not actually thinking, they're just predicting the next best thing that you want to hear based off of the training data and your input. If you give a large language model a lot of data from the entire internet, then that's how you end up with something like ChatGPT. And that's also how you end up with these over-the-top role-playing acting from Google's Gemini. No joke, here's an example of me telling it I am a taco about to be eaten and asking for its advice. And it gives me advice as if I were a taco. Generally, the more parameters a model has, the quote-unquote smarter it is, and more computing power you will need to run it. This is a large part of the reason why we see RAM and GPU prices skyrocket, since a ton of people, especially companies, want to train their large language models to a better degree. So when it comes to running your own large language model locally, there's kind of a workaround for this. You don't necessarily need a quote-unquote smarter model with more computing power. You could just get a model that'll give you the right information without needlessly needing to lie to you when it really doesn't know the answer. At least, that's what I tried doing. I tried first using Google's API, which, if you don't know what an API is, it stands for Application Programming Interface. It's a set of protocols that lets one application communicate to another. But apparently, Google restricted it back earlier this year. So I had to switch to C or XNG, which is an open source search engine, but honestly, even with that, it's still kind of dumb. I was testing out one of the large language models, Qwen 2.5. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I actually have no idea. But I tested it out by asking it, how much does an elephant weigh? And it gave me the wrong answer. So I tried asking it to cite me the website that it got its answer from. And then it gave me a website that it just made up. It just doesn't even exist. I'm still dedicated to set this up though, maybe for a later video. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. One of the basic downsides of doing all this is that you kind of got to be a techno wizard to be able to set all of this up. You don't have to be an elite master hacker, but I did run through a lot of troubleshooting. At first, I thought I could read, all this documentation doesn't really scare me. At least not until it's like 1 a.m. and for whatever reason, my GPU can't be detected by my server. There were a ton of times that I had to go through troubleshooting and I couldn't help but think that it would be really nice if all of this just kind of worked on first try. But when it comes to anything I make, nothing works first try. For example, I made a kind of a dumb mistake. I wanted to set it up so that I can use my server from anywhere on the go, like on my phone. So I was using Tailskip, which is a VPN that lets you connect privately to different devices on your own private mesh. But I thought to myself, I want to connect securely. I don't want to be using HTTP, which if you don't know, that's Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That's basically the protocol that the internet uses to communicate to each other. It's the very fancy thing that you see on the side of the URL. But instead, I wanted to set up HTTPS, which is Hypertext Protocol Secure. It's secure. Everyone knows that it's secure. When you have the word secure, it's secure. So then I learned that you needed a certificate in order to be able to connect to HTTPS, which you need to configure your servers for. So then I needed to install another Docker container inside of my Docker container, which was like another service. It wasn't really a Docker container, it was another service inside of it. Eventually, I went down this entire rabbit hole of trying to set up these different configurations and reverse proxies, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm still not entirely sure what a reverse proxy is, only to find myself figuring out after a whole day's worth of work that Tailscale already encrypts everything and it's private anyways, so no one's gonna be hacking through my server anytime soon, even if I use HTTP. So trying to configure all this for HTTPS was just pointless. It's moments like that when I just wish that all of this just kind of worked first try. Now there are servers out there that are plug in and play, like Synology for example, but I just don't have the kind of money for that. Hopefully these 5 pro gamer tips will change your mind on spending your money on these insane subscription services we have nowadays, especially when you can just get them for free. Thank you all so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment telling me how dumb I am for the next mistake that I made in this video. I don't know what mistake I made in this video, but